Welcome to another episode of Drag the Leg. I am one of your hosts, Andy Malafrina, and this is your other host. Say it,
Pat George.
Pat George.
Pat George.
Riding down the river, reviewing music and shit.
How you doing, Andy?
What?
How are you doing?
Oh, I said riding down the river because in my perfect world, all these episodes are on Fanboat. Today is a very special day. Do you know what we're doing today?
Yes, I do. But why don't you tell the audience what we're doing, Andy?
Today, finally, some of these people, an album comes out, they do a quick little listen or two.
Yeah, they go, what's that?
They go, what's that? Oh,
got it.
Skimmy skim. Oh, I listened to it.
Yeah,
I formulated my opinion.
Sure.
And then they hop online and they review that shit like they know anything. Not here, baby. Here, we take our time. We let it get in us. We let it rummage around.
We put it inside of us and we let it just sit there and fester.
We let it just sit, and then we sell the video on OnlyFans.
Yeah. So anyway, check out our link tree.
Yeah, give me money. I'm showing my butthole.
You think I get money for my feet, Andy? Just a real quick sidebar.
1,000%.
Nice.
Yeah, there's literally like an app called like fucking Feet for You. And you really? Send feet pic. Yeah, I'll set you up with it. Use promo code Drag the League.
But what do we?
So today, today the entirety of Dance Gavin Dance has been ruminating inside of me, and they're ready to come out. And so today is a special day. Today is the Jackpot Juicer review.
Jackpot Juicer review.
Jackpot, the JJR. You guys are ready for the JJR. So yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Anyway, thank you for watching today.
All right.
Yeah, I thought it was fine. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Have a great week.
Bye.
No, for real. For real. You want an honest, real quick review? Holy shit. This album was tight.
It was pleasant. I was pleasantly surprised. I told you this just as a short mini review before the show. I was pleasantly surprised. Not saying that I was expecting something bad, but more of I haven't listened to them. We've talked about this a couple times. I haven't listened to Dance Gavin Dance since probably early 2000s.
So give me the quick rundown. What is your history with Dance Gavin Dance?
I was a fan of theirs from, let me find, I believe it's hold on. I had the album up earlier. From as early on, the main first album that I ever listened to was Jesus Christ, Downtown Mountain Battle. Battle Mountain. Sorry.
Battle bots on a mountain.
Battle Mountain man guy. And it was something that like
no, what's it called?
Downtown. Fuck, I just had it. I just said it, didn't I?
No, you need
Downtown
none of those.
Battle Mountain. Shut up.
None of those were right.
Yeah, it is Downtown Battle Mountain. Look.
No, now after you fucking pulled it up and read it, but you were like downtown at the mountain battle.
So obviously I'm not very familiar with them.
So the
pronunciation
of Downtown Battle Mountain has kind of displayed to you guys how much Pat knows.
Yeah, I guess I could have ended there. So tell me about what you know about them. Well, I think one of their albums is Downtown Battle.
Pat, tell me how well you know Dance Gavin Dance. Well, my favorite Gavin Dance Gavin album is Down to the Battle Mountain.
What do I like most about Gavin Dance? Well, I'll tell you. So this was kind of a thing where I got from the album, like you didn't tell me anything, like you didn't tell me how you felt about the album. You didn't tell me about like we obviously talked that it was. I
just needed a chum. I just needed a chum to bounce ideas off, and then you listen to it, and you're like, heck yeah, this is a good tunage.
It was pleasantly surprising in the way that like I didn't really take to Sky Eats Airplane at the beginning. I was kind of an every other track guy for a long time. And I think I don't even remember how huge of a fan I was of Dance Gavin Dance in the past.
Yeah.
I know I loved that one album.
Yeah.
But it was more of a situation where
battling downtown with the mountain people.
Yeah, Battle Frogs in the mountain towns. That was my favorite. So this one was not an every other track, but a situation where I'd say 99 out of 100 but not exactly perfect. If I'm gonna nitpick, there's a couple things that I would change, but for the most part,
Yeah,
I would
nothing's
say
perfect.
it was, and I wonder now the question that I had originally when we were talking about how well the album, like when it was charting, it actually ended up, didn't it charted
8.
early on? Yeah, or eighth.
Yeah, it got number 8, and that's to say the same week that like Beyonce debuted,
Yeah.
and like there was like 2 other big artists that debuted. Like they got number 8 on a pretty rough week.
And they earned it. Like this is a
Oh
very
yeah.
well thought out and laid out album. It's really well done. And I think that if they would have gotten a chance, I don't know. And my question to you, Andy, with how well thought out and well laid out this album is, do you think it would be as successful if they hadn't had all that controversy? Or and just been able to open up for Coheed and Cambria? Do you think it would have done as well? Or do you think that the scandal, not I'm not talking about the death, but the scandal part of it with the lead singer, do you think that helped it get more exposure, more eyes on it, and it's just kind of a silver linings playbook here?
So that's really hard to tell. And this kind of goes into like my what's going to be my review and general feelings about this album, because this album is very good.
Yeah.
And this is a kind of album that, like,
better than it should be. So,
yeah, and this is a kind of album, like, if you look at, let me pull up the track listing. So like before this album even is out, they released what was it, Synergy, and then I believe Pop Off. If I get this order wrong, I apologize. Die Another Day, Cream of the Crop, and Feels Bad Man. I believe in that order.
So Pop Off was a release, like a single.
Pop Off was, they made a video of Pop Off.
Oh shit, that's my favorite album. They're my favorite song so far.
Yeah.
That's like, you know how like when you do like you do those multiple listens and you like,
yeah,
your favorite songs always kind of shift. That's been my first favorite song off the album.
Oh, nice. So when those songs released, it was like if you presented that grouping of 5 songs to anyone, like, yo, here's an EP of the band before the actual fucking album comes out, like how strong those songs are, and also the like the choice of they're different enough from each song that it gives you a good sampling of how this album feels. They were just all such strong fucking releases that I think, because I don't know. Obviously, I think if you went onto like Google Trends right now, in the general public, like the controversy and the scandal and shit, it's gonna raise Dance Gavin Dance's exposure on like Google Trends and stuff. But I don't know how many people. I think would first week sales be as high? There is an argument that they wouldn't, but I think over time this album would just have, because it's just so good. It's just so fucking good. And I think you'd have enough. Like I found myself being like, yo, dude, like just hitting people up. Like you listen to the new Dance Gavin Dance, it's fucking worth your time. Like, really, so I think there's like I said, there's an argument that maybe the first week sales wouldn't have been as good, but I think over time this would have gone down as like a fucking, a thing that kind of like kept them going, because that was what was so unfortunate about all this shit happening. Because for the big thing with Dance Gavin Dance is just every album something happens. Every album something fucking happens. Like they had the history with Johnny Craig, who's had his struggles with drug addiction. And then, they're like, they're trying to make that work and all that. And then they had a whole, they just always have different, I bring that up, but there's also other shit that just wasn't as well known, where other band members are leaving and they have all these problems. And then Johnny Mess leaves, so their guitarist has to scream and all this other shit. It was just like, for like the first half of their career, it was just such a rough go. And then they finally get Tillian in on, I believe, Acceptance Speech. And then there was like, they were slowly creating normalcy and like building momentum. And I think they were just kind of like getting things back on track. And if they would have just kept like, kept their heads down and not, not have fucking controversies and shit like that, just on the sheer momentum of like building themselves over time, I think this would have been a very popular release for them. But like I said before, first week sales, would they have been as good?
No,
I don't know.
I don't think
possibly not.
And that's the thing is, like, I'm happy to say as somebody who is completely impartial. Like I came in as a third party who only I knew of the controversy.
Yeah.
Didn't know, like, I haven't listened to them since 2007 or 8. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So there's that level of like going into it cold, just like saying, like, this was a thing where, like, if this would have popped up on my Spotify, it would have been a thing that, like, the songs that you're like, what the fuck is this? And like,
Yeah.
you look at it and you either immediately add it to a playlist or click the band or something like that. But just not only this might have been just maybe, I think, how many people's reaction to the story even was, oh shit, I didn't even know Dance Gavin Dance was a band still. You
Well,
know what I mean?
so
Like, there might have been a lot of people like me, because if they're going on tour with Coheed and Cambria, that's what I'm saying is, I think maybe first week sales wouldn't have been as good, but if they would have stayed on that tour and continued
yeah.
and maybe sold, if you want to, just a reference to one of our other videos, maybe sold some of their merch and given up 20% of it at each one of those venues.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, it was blowing me cocksuckers. But there's, they could have had more exposure
Yeah.
per show, but it really, I think it may have evened out. But either way, they've come up with, through all that ambiguity and all those controversies over the years and all these albums, they've actually ended up putting out a fucking great album.
Well, so let me say this to kind of explain more why I'm not completely convinced that like the controversy was the reason, because so like I said, they got Tillian in on acceptance speech, and all right, sorry. There's a fucking ad that was showing me some horrific nightmare of an image. I got very distracted.
What was it, Joe Biden?
Yeah, I fucking hate that guy.
God damn it. Falling off a fucking bike or something.
That was funny though.
It was really funny.
No, so they get Tillian in there on acceptance speech, and if you like listening throughout those albums, which sidebar, the way I actually got back into Dance Gavin Dance is randomly about 2 years ago, they popped into my head, and I was like, I should, because I listened to, I remember I listened to their self-titled in college because one of my roommates had it, and I listened to self-titled. You can still hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, there's a fucking mute button on the side of this in a fucking place. You grab it all the time, and I'm like, why would you do that? Oh yeah, so I listened to their self-titled a bunch because a roommate of mine had it and I liked it, but I never really listened to them outside of that. But I always knew about them, and I would always pop in here and there. And then like 2 years ago, they just randomly popped into my head, and I was like, I should listen to them. And I was like, and I was doing this thing, by the way, and I think other people should try it. If you're trying to get into a band that has like a lot of albums, I did this for the Menzingers, it worked. I did this for Converge, it worked. You take their whole discography, put it in a playlist, and then just hit shuffle. And it'll give you a really good, because you do that for a band that's like 6 or 7 or 8 albums in, and it gives you a good shuffle of all of their shit, and you kind of get an idea. And you just do that a bunch, and then eventually you're like, all right, I just want to hear this album. So got heavy into them 2 years ago, and I've just been listening to them a lot ever since. And you can hear this progression from, from acceptance speech to instant gratification to mothership to artificial selection to afterburner, and then finally where they keep honing it in. And then like Jackpot Juicer, just, it's like the irony that like they had to have this controversy now, because it's like finally this pinnacle moment of like, it's all been good, but this is sort of the moment that you've really figured out what this current sound is. It's just such like it's just such a well balanced, tight, thoughtful, fun, creative album, and the progression from song to song is very good. They all have, because a lot of the things on a lot of those earlier releases with Tillian, the problem was they were good albums, but they were all good songs, all good albums, but from song to song, they had a tendency of like blending in, where this happens on a lot of hardcore bands where they like because like the problem with hardcore bands is you actually end up limiting yourself in the fact that breakdowns are open chords, and if you do too many breakdowns, then your shit starts sounding the same, where it's like it's the same song with a breakdowns that are different rhythms. So Dance Gavin Dance having a very similar sort of writing process from every song. The songs start blending together, and then it starts becoming a thing where it's like, oh, that song had that cool moment in it, and that's how you distinguish them. This album, the reason it like hit so hard for me is like every song, it was easier for me to remember which song was which. Like I was like, I like that thing. It was easier for me to remember song names because each song had such a distinct personality to it.
You nailed it with I feel like your assessment as somebody who listened to their very first album and their very most recent album. It's a thoughtful process, obviously, that they've used, because it's more precise to the level, as opposed to Downtown Battle Bear. It was so chaotic. It had all the same elements, and it had the noodling and the fucking the edge, like the harder rock screams and fucking crazy shit. But it was so much more chaotic sounding, and I still liked it a lot. It's not that it was bad, but they've taken that and they've harnessed that to have it be so much more precise and thoughtful, almost like a Dillinger Escape Plan type of precision.
Yeah,
but with this like soft like artfulness that they have with the like it reminds me of a like the perfect mix of like a Fall of Troy and like Circa Survive, but with like but still like that doesn't.
Ooh, that's a good combo.
You know what I mean?
I love doing that, by the way, being like, it's like if this band met this band. Fall of Troy and Circa Survive is like, yes, that's like the best way to put it.
It's and to me, I thought thoughtful like that is for explaining this album is such a perfect,
very thoughtful. Yeah,
that's a one-word review that works perfectly for this, because it's so and like you said, I'm so glad that you brought up that point as well, of like being able to distinguish songs from each other. And
that's my biggest complaint. That's my biggest complaint about albums is it'll be like, this is a good album, but it sounds like one long song.
There's no separation, and it comes down to where you're like,
the songs don't have a distinct personality.
Yeah, there's no what is the actual, and that's what reminds me of these guys with as far that's the Circa Survive part of it, where there's the storytelling, but also the like little bit of edge, like almost like a little bit of maliciousness, but it's not like it's, you know what I mean? Like it's like it's a fucked up.
Well, they're
it's a fucked up point of view, but it's not like you're not all acting like you're fucking hot topic jokers. Jesus Christ.
Well, hot topic jokers. That's what's great about I think the word you're looking for is tongue in cheek.
Yeah, probably.
They're no, I just
ran out of word a long time ago.
I just looked it up. That was the word you were looking for. But I do want to say I agree with what you said about In the Hall of the Mountain King, and this is a fun joke to keep doing.
Hey, by the way, you were talking about all the other albums before. What was their self-titled called?
Gavin Won't Stop Dancing with Gavin.
I knew it. I gotta check that one out. I'm gonna put that one on shuffle.
But fuck, I forget what I was gonna say for real though.
Oh, I gotta hit my moonshine.
No, what were we talking about? Songs don't have personalities.
Thoughtful, them blending together and not being able to distinguish songs from each other.
Yeah,
to survive telling stories.
Yeah, no, I just think it's the most. It's just like you can, but for real though, to go back to Downtown Battle Mountain, those were all in all those albums. They were great albums, but like this album right here just has. It's the most. Like I said before, it's the most thoughtful, and it's, in my opinion, it's the most well written.
Yeah,
it's the most well written of all their albums, and you can tell it's like a band. Like they're a band that intrigues the shit out of me because they've gone through like, bro, I've quit things over substantially less.
Yes.
And they're still like grinding it out, and they're still put out an album where they're like, yo, we're actually like giving a fuck. we're actually like really giving a fuck on this one. It's just like as a fan, you're like, first off, thank you. Second off, where do you get that from? You know what I mean?
Continue with that motivation after all the bullshit.
Yeah. And my other big thing about this album is just the way that they like I never get over the fact that I go, how in the fuck do they combine like this much screaming with this much sort of like funk inspired prog rock type punk music and and all this like funky type shit with with like Tillion's high pitched singing and all that stuff. How do you still manage to throw screaming in there and it not sound weird or forced? Like that's a big hang up, like not hang up, that's not the right word, but that's like a big thing that still makes me come back and want to keep listening to the album because I'm like, how it's like I listen to it and I go, how does this work? Like if you listen to like a great song is like Feels Bad Man. That do you remember that one? That was the more straightforward where the drum beat like didn't get too crazy. It was just kind of like it was like boom, boom. It was just kind of slow.
Did a song like that?
What?
Like, the fact that they even did a song like that.
Yeah, that too. But the fact that like they do that song and the screaming still makes sense over top of it, like it all makes sense. They're a band that like doesn't make sense on paper, and then when you hear them, it just fits together really, really well. I had a lot of fun and like how catchy they make everything. How a big part of it too was that it has a lot of distinct melodies that kind of sit in your head.
Yeah.
And shit like that. And then on top of that with the whole like the lyric, I've said before I'm not a big lyrics guy, but these ones stick out to me because like with the whole tongue-in-cheek nature of it while still kind of being serious and then but at the same time being kind of a little they'll be serious and then mysterious and things like that, other Ariuses, they'll do a bunch of things like that.
I gotta say I looked through this a little bit because I wanted to see who the producer was because maybe there's something to the effect of maybe the producer had some kind of effect on the album, but the person who did this has done most of their albums. Chris Crummett. Chris Crummett. Yeah, he's like I looked through his his whole like resume and all that shit. Like whatever and it's mainly like all of their albums. Like he works with Rise Records a lot, I guess, or Dance Gavin Dance has done most of their albums.
Yeah. Well, so I think that happens a lot.
It really is a band progression. Like it's not just they right place, right time, anything like that. They earned this album.
Yeah. Yeah, without a doubt. And I think it kind of shows in the fact that their sound has stayed. And this is what I love in bands where sort of the essence of your sound stays consistent, but you still evolve over time to sort of expand upon that sound. And I think Dance Gavin Dance encapsulates that perfectly. And the one of the last points, and I think after I say this, I'll kind of have made all the points I wanted to make about this album. The last point I wanted to make too is it kind of just stands alone by itself musically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's obviously like we've talked about it before. Swancore is obviously a genre, but like even when you listen to Swancore, most of those bands, you're just kind of like, oh yeah, it's like there was this band, they're very good. I think they're called I Saw a Yeti or something like that. Mm-hmm. But as I'm listening to them, I was like, oh yeah, they're kind of like if Dance Gavin Dance had more breakdowns. You know, you're always still, or if you hear Royal Coda, you're kind of like, oh, it's like if Dance Gavin Dance didn't scream as much. But like when you listen to Dance Gavin Dance, you're like, they're this.
Yeah.
They're their own.
You can't say they're this and this, but this album.
Yeah. But
even
bands like, I'm trying to think, like Fugazi, they kind of helped start the post-hardcore thing. But even Fugazi, you could listen to them and being like, yeah, they're kind of like slowed down. They're punk, like but a little slowed down and a little
boring Minor Threat. They're even more boring Minor Threat.
Yo, did you see? Did you watch that Chicago hardcore doc I sent you?
Oh fuck! I keep forgetting to do. Can you resend me the link? Because I
I'll
think
try to find it.
I try to find it in my history, and then
Dude,
when you start looking on YouTube and you're like, oh, what's that?
oh yeah, it's my whole night. I was watching a doc last night while having four other YouTube tabs open of
You
other.
have your phone going. You're
I
fucking.
was
On
like dual
Instagram anyway.
docking it last night. No, but if you watch that, and everyone watching this, look up I think it was about Chicago or
No,
Minneapolis.
like Wisconsin or something like that.
It was like Minneapolis in general, not just Chicago. But it was about the hardcore scene, and there was like this local house that this lady owned they'd all go there after shows and party, and all the bands would sleep there. And they were like, yeah, the weekends Minor Threat played, or Fugazi played. It was, it was a little more low key because they're like, well, no, because apparently Fugazi or like Ian Mackay and Fugazi and them weren't just fucking straight edge. They were like,
they're militant.
Yeah, they're like, we're fucking straight edge, and you guys are gonna be fucking straight edge around us. And it's like, whatever. Anyway, this isn't about Fugazi. This is about Dance Gavin. But yeah, basically, it was so goddamn funny where they're like, yeah, it was boring as fuck. It was weird because you wanted to see Fugazi play, but then after the show, it was boring as shit.
Like homework. Yeah, it feels like you're just going there like. You're like going to visit your uncle, and you're like, "Yeah, this is really cool. He told a cool story." And then you're like, "All right, well, head out."
But anyway, this isn't a podcast to shit on Fugazi.
Like that. Dance Gavin Dance isn't like that.
Dance Gavin Dance. I mean, we've seen in the news sometimes they drink too much, and but what the fuck was I gonna say?
We're talking about how Fugazi started the.
Oh yeah, but like even when you listen to Fugazi, you can hear the transition from the previous genre to this genre. And I might, people might disagree with me, especially Fugazi fans who don't like to fucking drink. But like Dance Gavin Dance kind of just like sits in their own space. Like they obviously have different genres that they bring together. But you're like, my whole thing is like, and I would love the answer to this question because I would love to find out I'm wrong. But like, what's the step right before Dance Gavin Dance?
Yeah, because this is my. I think you're bringing up I can probably help you sum up your point here because I feel like Dance Gavin Dance maybe didn't invent Swancore. Like maybe they're not the.
The genre is literally named after their guitarist.
Oh well, then there you go. Well, let's just say there's other bands like Swancore is not.
It's not just them.
Just them, right? But like Swancore, they may not be the 100% owners of it, but they are definitely the heart of it for sure. That's why it shares that name. Is they're not the only band doing it. They're the band that kind of like, oh, they're like Dance Gavin Dance if they did this, or they're like Dance Gavin Dance that doesn't do that.
So that's
exactly what it is.
My whole thing, and like I said, I really would like people in the comments to answer this question because I would be fascinated. I would love to find out I'm wrong about this, but like, okay, so if you look, I've been reading a bunch of shit on like punk rock. Like punk rock was a response to they had the hippie shit of the 60s, and then people like Iggy Pop and them were like, that's boring. I'm going to add a little bit of intensity. And then fucking people in the 80s were like, I respect you, Iggy Pop, but that your songs are too fucking slow.
Yeah.
So then the Ramones and the bands like that started speeding them up. And like, I'm just wondering what is the predecessor of Dance Gavin Dance? And I think it's sort of it's like a bunch of, it's like they fucking threw their rings up like Captain America and like through the power of funk, hardcore, we bring you Dance Gavin Dance.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely like a Captain Planet type of scenario where they're like all putting their fucking powers together to make one superpower.
Yeah.
They have, because that's how much they offer. Like that's how many different things. But punk was more of an answer to like the 70s like ballad and like heavy metal, like the like more of that. Like not necessarily a direct answer to like Iggy Pop. I think Iggy Pop was doing that same answering to, again, like you said, like people of the 60s and stuff like that, where they're like everything was a counterculture, everything was
Iggy Pop was punk rock, but if you listen to Iggy Pop shit, it doesn't sound like punk rock music.
Shit, yeah, it sounds Like it like I Iggy Pac's great and everything. Iggy, I just call him Iggy Pac. That's my rap name. I'm Iggy Pac. But there's a level of shock value to that. You know what I mean? It's like a lot of performance art.
I would say more the stage show.
Yeah, yeah.
If you listen to like the Stooges, it sounds like, and this, I don't mean any disrespect. I like the Stooges a lot, but if you listen to it now, you'll be like, if you play the Stooges for a kid, they'll be like, cool. I just saw Megan Thee Stallion's whole butthole.
Yeah, this isn't edgy.
Yeah, like it's not like, don't get me wrong, it was edgy as shit in the 70s, but they're like,
But you're right to see what led to Dance Gavin.
Also, all due respect to Megan Thee Stallion's butthole, big fan of it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Big fan of She-Hulk.
What? I will absolutely no. I want to put good vibes out there because if I meet Megan Thee Stallion, I'll simp hard, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't met her yet either, but also, yeah, you're great butthole.
I would love to meet Mrs. or Miss the Stallion.
Please.
Anyway, we're getting off track.
We'd love to shake your butthole, madam. So if you like Dance Gavin Dance, come down to the Drag Your Lake Studios, which is basically either one of our houses, which isn't weird at all.
Yeah, come to my house, Megan Thee Stallion, while my wife's not here. All right. Dance Gavin Dance. Do we have anything else to add to this before we go down a weird Megan Thee Stallion butthole rabbit hole?
Yeah, is that what you're Googling right now?
Yeah, I'm gonna need to. I'm gonna have to cancel this other content we're recording today. I got a big Google search to do.
Big Goog happening over here.
But yeah, I guess final thoughts about this. I originally wasn't sure if this was my favorite Dance Gavin Dance album, but I now think it is. I think it's and now don't get me wrong, all the other stuff, Downtown Battle Mountain, they're self-titled, Happiness, Downtown Battle Mountain 2, and then all the other Tillian ones, they have all a very cool, unique thing about them. They all have like amazing songs on there, all this other shit. But I just think as a whole cohesive, thoughtful album,
yeah,
this is the best presentation of the band, in my opinion. Pat, any final thoughts?
Sorry, you're muted for all of that. What did you say?
I said, watch She-Hulk. It is a good, well-written show.
I'd say 9 out of 10 easily. It is my favorite Dance Gavin Dance album, but I also have
It is also the second one you heard.
I have not put them all on shuffle yet, but I do. I think that is actually that's my biggest takeaway from this, because we both knew we were fans of the album, but I think the taking all of the band's albums and putting them on shuffle is a really great way to.
It's the best way. Yeah, it's the best way to get yourself into a band that's been around for a while. At least I've discovered.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Thank you for listening. We love you all. Bye-bye.